already know what it means for two expressions to be equivalent. Two expressions are equivalent if they represent the same value, no matter what number the variable represents. So, for example, the expressions 2x plus 3x and 5x are equivalent expressions. The expressions 2 times x minus 1 and 2x minus 2 are equivalent. When we simplify an expression, we're following a sequence of steps that gives us a sequence of equivalent expressions. Equations can also be equivalent. Now, there's a definition of equivalence for equations that follows sort of the same form as the definition of equivalence for expressions. Two equations are equivalent if they have the same truth value, no matter what the number the variable represents. In other words, either both equations are true for some value of the variable, or both equations are false. Another way to state this is, equations are equivalent if they have exactly the same solutions. Our goal in solving an equation will be to obtain an equivalent equation where it's easy to see what the solutions are. So when we solve an equation, we're performing a series of steps that give us equivalent equations. Now, there are some very simple steps that very obviously give us equivalent equations. If we replace an expression by an expression equivalent to it, this gives us an equivalent equation. For example, the equation 2x plus 3x equals 10 is equivalent to the equation 5x equals 10. Why? These two always represent the same number. So, if this one is equal to 10, then clearly this one must also be equal to 10, because they're the same. We can also get an equivalent equation by exchanging the expressions on either side. So, the equation 2 times x plus 1 equals 3 times x minus 1 is equivalent to the same equation, stated in the opposite order. 3 times x minus 1 equals 2 times x plus 1. Why? Because these are simply stating exactly the same fact. If the first number is equal to the second, then the second number is also equal to the first. Now, neither one of these steps is much help to us when we go to solve an equation. Neither one of these steps is going to give us an equation whose solution is much more obvious. For that, we're going to need some more complicated steps that also give us equivalent equations.